button. See? A rookie.
Recording.
Oh,
we're good.
Okay, welcome all. I'm Justin Letheby, the E Professor of Real Estate. Next to me is Jason Bates. We are starting our own little blab sessions here, mostly tech related. We'll definitely throw in some marketing and other ideas in here because basically it's all going to kind of play along with one another. Here, Jason, why don't you take a couple quick seconds and kind of introduce yourself?
Yes, hello. I'm Jason Bates. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona. I'm a lender here in Phoenix, Arizona. So if you're looking to purchase a home or refinance here in Arizona, please call me. I'd love to talk to you about that. And I am also a host of a podcast called Valley of the Sun Real Estate Show. And you can check out that on iTunes or on my website at www.valleyofthesunrealestateshow.com. So
Awesome.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, it's just awesome.
yeah, it's all good, man. It's all websites, right? We got to have websites. We're talking tech. You got to have websites.
All day long. My name is Justin Letheby. I'm a realtor with Keller Williams Realty out in Illinois area. I've been that way for 8 years. I'm also a licensed CE instructor for the state of Illinois. I am a tech trainer for over 20 years. And the easiest way to find me, and we'll put this more definitely towards the end, is eprofessorofrealestate.com, and you'll find me all day long in that realm. Today's topic is going to be really quite simple and hopefully not terribly long. The whole goal, well, let's step back one. The whole goal for this is to always try to keep this within an hour. We may go over and less depending on who shows up with questions and whatever. Blab's a new environment. If you guys are watching this on YouTube or whatever, Blab's an environment where we can chat with up to 4 people at the same time. There is a message box over on one side or the other, depending on how you're seeing the screen. And people can talk and interact and ask questions. We're going back and forth. So depending on how much turnout we get and how many questions or how much suggestions, advice we get, it could go over an hour, but always our main topics will be done within an hour. And then we may go off the record or whatever afterwards and just kind of have background questions and answers. So if you want to pay attention to get more value, always come to these sessions. If not, it's going to be available through other manners, YouTube, what have you.
Don't miss the show, right? I always tell my people, Justin, hey, check out the live. The live is the best. Replays are good. Don't get me wrong, but live. Check us out live for sure.
Well, live's where you're going to probably laugh a little bit more because there's probably something that's got shenanigans or something that's going to happen.
Right.
So today's topic is going to be really how, from a real estate business or even from a small business perspective, how to make this a mobile office and a true mobile office where you don't have to carry paperwork. You don't have to worry about losing that file. You don't have to worry about having, like mine, floorboard covered with paper. Really right now, my mats on my car are paper mache mats. So I try to teach people how to get away from that because, if you want something that you want me to lose something, give it to me in paper form because I can't handle it. So that's kind of what we're going to cover today and really give you hopefully some really strong tips and ways of managing that environment to make it easy for not only yourself, but your customers and clients that have to work with you in that environment and make it a friendly environment for yourself.
Fair enough? Yeah, right. We all need that. I mean, the days of Post-it notes, I still use those actually in the office. I use a Post-it note all the time. That's kind of, low tech, I guess. But the days of Post-it notes are almost over, I think.
I think so. To be honest with you, I don't even use Post-it notes anymore. The closest I get to Post-it notes is whiteboards.
But yeah, I see a lot of whiteboards. No question about that. I have Post-it.
Really what I want from a tech perspective, I want that whiteboard. And there are tools that are out there. I want to write something on a whiteboard and come to my computer afterwards.
See, I got Post-it notes already. Post-it notes. I got Post-it notes everywhere.
Yeah, you're good that way because you won't see anything around here. The only paper I have is I just did a CE class, a trial run with some audience members, and they put some notes on one piece of paper I gave them, so it was great. So I get that back and doing that. I'm working on that. But other than that, I don't have paper. I'm not a big fan.
I'm not either. I just do it. I don't know why. I don't know.
It's habit, and we do it. I mean, I still do it every so often. You'll catch me. I mean, there's no way around it. I mean, I'm coaching basketball again. I'm still looking for a couple pieces of paper because I got to quickly write a note instead of going to my phone where it should be instinctively. Just when you're in certain rooms, you do it. But I'm hoping to get you out of some of that stuff as well as show you some techniques to make things less scary and less fearful and less worrisome from this environment. Because the reality is, I think personally, which is the very first topic I'm going to talk about, and something I know that me and you have talked a little bit about, Jason, is your best way of going paperless, you already have. You have it in your phone, on your phone. That was a faux pas. in your hand every day.
Right. Right.
It is your phone, quite literally. I think to be honest with you, I think we miscall this. This is not a smart phone. This is a smart device.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I'll be honest with you, I don't call anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of a dying art, isn't it? I mean, calling people. It's like we
it is for me.
Yeah. We instant message. We do everything else. We Facebook or tweet somebody. But calling somebody, kind of a dying thing.
Well, I'm curious. So now me and you have talked a couple times, but the honest answer is we probably have tweeted or texted more than we have talked physically on the phone, right?
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
And would you say now you're going to be a little bit different environment because you are working with us realtors, and us realtors still want to talk to somebody. We just feel like we have to. And I don't know if that's right or wrong. I don't know. That's not for me to decide. That's for time to decide. But My question is for you, what do you see? Are you seeing yourself less on the phone as a mortgager?
Well, it's kind of interesting, right? So when it comes to a mortgage, I actually like the phone call or face-to-face because you're dealing with a big decision, right? So there's a lot of questions that need to be asked and a lot of things that I need to explain that aren't very easily explained through either an email or a text or an instant message because there's different aspects to the answer for that particular person. Because every mortgage, as much as we want to say that it's all, for example, FHA, well, there's different variables within FHA that make it unique to that particular person. And so just explaining FHA may not get the point across or get the, what the person's looking for across. So for consumers, when I talk to home buyers or people who want to refinance or something, phone call. But when it comes to realtors and speaking to them, it's always a text or a tweet or some kind of Facebook or LinkedIn message or something like that, email, and then maybe a face-to-face after that. Sure. And then maybe some phone calls back and forth during the contract, phase of things. But the initial contact a lot of times is a text message.
Well, and it's interesting. It's almost like we planned this, although we didn't plan it this way. You brought up one of the very next topics I think is hugely important is contracts, right?
Yeah.
So, one of the things that we run into, and luckily, although I see it very rarely, I still run across the occasional guy that wants to fax me a contract. Right? So the document that goes this big is now this big.
Yeah. And it's blurry.
And I don't know if it was a 1 or a 2 or a 9. I don't know if I'm making $900,000 or I'm making $15,000, right? I don't know any of that stuff.
Road, lane. Yeah.
Right. And the bank said, because you guys love that stuff.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh.
Underwriters go crazy on that.
Right.
But there are tools out there that I think are amazingly great solutions for paperless environments. And they're both really, really solid. The first and foremost, probably the most industry standard that people are familiar with is a tool called DocuSign.
Yeah. Yep.
And DocuSign, and just so we can go, we'll just take one step back because I can hear people, if they listen to this later, they're going to go in their head, they're going to say, but Justin, Jason, mortgagers guys don't allow this, or the attorneys don't allow this, or whatever.
Right.
Now, you want to check with your state and all the other rules, but I can tell you specifically in Illinois, and I'm pretty sure this is the federal law, electronic signatures have been allowed since 2000. Now, from a mortgage perspective, you guys have different rules and you guys have different requirements, and we always got to satisfy what you guys want. But from a legal standpoint, it is a legal form of signature.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'm starting to see more mortgage companies adopt that same philosophy. So, there is some potential for fraud when it comes into DocuSign, right? Because if it goes to the wrong email address, somebody could sign it, and that's where the legalities from the mortgage lending perspective come into play. However, all of our documents for the company that I work at right now, all the documents can be, on the initial disclosures, I should say, and contract can be DocuSigned. Except for the Social Security verification form. Right. And the only reason for that is because that goes to the government, and the government wants to match the signature that they have on file with the signature that's on that paper to verify one's Social Security number. But the 4506T, which verifies tax returns, absolutely. That up until about a year ago, you had to sign as well. but now we're accepting DocuSign as a viable signature on that. So it's almost everywhere. There are a couple other things in there too. The FHA mandatory clause a lot of times has to be, a live signature. But for the most part, everything is DocuSign, which makes it real, real nice.
And it does. And it makes, I think it's awesome. The nice thing about DocuSign is DocuSign has been doing electronic signatures forever, right? And the thing is, what's nice about DocuSign is they are industry agnostic, right? So they're going for lawyers, they're going for medical, they're going for real estate. You name an industry, they've found out all the rules and they made it possible. And they've studied all regulations. So they know exactly what they got to do. Going to Jason's point where you talk about, sending to the wrong email address. Yeah, you could have a little bit of fraud there, but the nice thing about that is there's a great back check channel because it will record who it was sent to, when they signed in, and at what IP address, right? So you have these information that's out there right off the bat. So if we need to verify if there was something negligent on here, we can track to indisputable facts. I mean, you can't argue an IP address. And better yet, with DocuSign, if you wanted to give it a password login before they did it, they would also need to know that password besides the email address.
Right.
And so there's getting better and better solutions out there as far as that go. And DocuSign is a great tool for that. The only thing that I have a problem with DocuSign is where the next tool we'll talk about here in a second comes into place is DocuSign, I think right now lacks a true cloud-based storage system, so to speak, right? Transaction system. They do have a tool called Cardivi, and now it's called, and I better know this, DocuSign Transaction Rooms. Where they have that and you're starting to get better, but they're a little bit behind the game as far as that part goes. They're way ahead of the game as far as electronic signature goes, but as far as keeping this in transaction order is a little slow right now. And no offense to them, they do a great job, but they're just a little bit behind the game at that point in time.
Well, let me ask you this, Justin. I don't know. Does DocuSign can they or do they have the ability that somebody could finger sign a document? Mm-hmm. From their iPod or iPad or whatever, or phone or whatever. So kind of like what you do at the checkout line, right? So, except I'm seeing a lot of finger signatures. Like I had a guy change the locks on my house, and he's like, "Hey, yeah, just sign my phone right here with your finger." I'm like, "Okay, cool." So, but I wasn't sure if that was a DocuSign, program or if that was a different program.
No, they have it built in. They do have it built in, and what's really neat about it is they can do a couple of things with it, where you can create your own signature at one time and then just kind of like rubber stamp it throughout the document.
Cool.
Or you can, if you have like a tablet, and we're doing this like in presentation. So if I go on a listing appointment and I need them to sign right now and they want to do it, they can basically sign. Now they're not signing for every document. They're basically signing this as their signature, and then they're going through, tapping through and say, boom, 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 boom. And then you're kind of getting rid of the not knowing, because I'm there validating, I was there, watch them sign type of thing.
Yeah, and Holly mentioned, she thought it might have been a square, and now that she mentions that, I think it was a square that I did that on.
Yeah, you will definitely have that on any of the pay systems that you have out there. They all have it. Square, PayPal, right. Android, Google Pay. They all have something along those lines.
Now, what are there any other alternatives to DocuSign? Because DocuSign seems to be very, very popular in our world, right? But are there other programs out there?
So there are a few. The only one that I can really speak on of any intelligence, and I'll be honest, I'm a Keller Williams agent, as I said earlier. So this is something we are, and we were early testers. I was a very early tester on it. Is a system called dotloop.
Okay. Scott mentions it in chat over there, right? So dotloop is now. So what are the differences there between dotloop and DocuSign? Is there a difference?
I will say here's the biggest difference. DocuSign is designed for every industry. dotloop is designed for the real estate industry.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So where DocuSign, you come in, you have to create the forms, and you can do some templates to speed things up, and you can do some really neat things to help process the stuff out. But I have to do that. And in there, I can add it. And then if I want to invite you, I need to invite you, and then I need to invite the other agent, or I need to invite the other people. But if I start inviting you as the other agent, you need to have an opportunity to invite the other client. And there are solutions in there, but they're a little archaic in nature, not unfunctional, perfectly functional, perfectly usable. dotloop or DocuSign is a great solution. But dotloop, where it does it, is it's already set up and understands the transaction workflow as far as realtors go. So when I send a document, if I'm the buyer's agent, I can. And what's one step back, what really is also cool is if I send my documents ahead of time, they pre-fill the intelligence out in all the documents. So all I got to do is add my buyer and my seller, and they already have the stuff already identified and already filled out for me, right? They know which spot the buyers have to sign, what they have to do. So it's already, already pre-designed as far as smart fields go, not the data itself, but the smart fields. How do they price compare? You know what? Depending on what package you're using with DocuSign versus .loop, they're relatively pretty close to the same. Really, where I think the value and the price points become a little different is I think .loop is better at a brokerage level because that's where part of the functionality is really being created at. Is they have some compliance protocols in place from a brokerage level as far as pricing, and even that goes, and the price becomes a little more competitive that way. And so what happens is I take the DocuSign or .loop. Don't let me get too off on that one. I take the .loop, and I'm the buyer's agent. I send it to Holly, who's my buyer, and I'll let her sign it. Once it's done, I can invite you, Jason, as the agent, right? Yep. And you as the agent have your own clients, right? I can't, as the other agent, I can't talk to them. But you can. So I can invite you into the transaction, and then you can review the document and submit it to your sellers electronically. Right, add their names into the document side. You get that stuff, and again, those intelligence already filled out, so they know exactly what they have to sign if they accept it. If you disagree, you can make a functional change. The document moves back and forth, and you can kind of negotiate electronically back and forth. Obviously, we still talk over the phone on that stuff, which I think is still ideal. But if you didn't want to, it could literally be just a ping pong back and forth, changing information on the website.
So now on .loop, then is like the Illinois purchase contract, is that automatic? Is that like a form that you pick and then it automatically? Okay. Yeah.
So what happens is .loop .loop has made a deal with almost all brokerages that when they team up is that just give us all your documents, state, whatever documents that are out there, and they'll pretty much do it for free. Because really the honest answer is, if it's state, national, those kind of forms, it's got to get filled out one time anyways, because every office has to use them by law, right?
Right.
So they can do it one time and basically go out there. They just got to submit and say this is the one we are using. But they will usually charge you if it is a custom form. If my office has a special addendum they use for every document that the office builds, they're going to charge you a small fee for doing that. Then it's back and forth. And so that's where to me, that's where the biggest value is. And Holly, I understand that. To me, .loop is about $30 a month if you're doing it from your own agent. DocuSign can be anywhere between 15 and 30, depending on how many envelopes you want to use. Here's what I'll tell you as far as hardly ever need to in my business to justify it. I would say right now that could be true. What I'm going to challenge you is I think it's all going that way because both DocuSign and .loop are pushing not only at offices, but they're pushing it at the boards and at the MLSs to get this stuff ingrained in the system. It's going to become a situation where it's got to be answered to. Right. And I understand. I mean, some businesses don't do it. I get it every time. There's needs and demands for every business. I would say just be careful because at some point in time, it's going to be there. We're already seeing in our office. Keller Williams already has adopted. All the big franchises have picked a brand and have gone with it. And even MLSs are getting talked to by all these companies because they know if they can get into the MLSs, they're pretty much golden.
Yeah, exactly.
And what I like about the tool, either one of them, is, again, I don't have to have paper at any point in time.
Yeah, everything's going paperless, right? I mean, paperless is the way to go. I still have and see our side of even on for us, but some lenders, like the last company I was with, I'm not going to name any names here, of course, but the last lender I was with, they still worked out of manila folders.
Right.
It's like, are you kidding me? So now with the company I'm at now, we have no paper whatsoever. Everything gets scanned, put in a proper, file system, if you will, for underwriting purposes. So it's very organized. So paper is almost kind of gone. Now we do have some of the old school loan officers who like to, even take a paper application. But for the most part, it's pretty much paperless on our side of it.
And I'll be honest with you. I mean, I know I'm a unique bird because I'm a technology guy that pushes the envelope all day. But I really like it because when I go to a closing, I don't have that last minute panic that I forget a doc, that I not have anything. Because again, from a .loop perspective, I got to submit it to my office. My office, if they don't like it, will send it back to me. I get as Agent Pink, and I should have known the name by now because he was there before. Sean said earlier, we get notifications through Loop all the time that will let us know when something gets returned to us, when something gets signed. We know. So it's not like we will never know what's going on. We're getting notifications all the time on this tool. So I know when I go to a closing, I have the documents. I take my tablet with me. I go through, read real quick, go through with that. And the other thing that I like about both tools, but specifically about Loop, is Jason, as a mortgager, I can invite you into it.
Yeah.
So you get to see all the documents that you need to have, add stuff in there if you want to add stuff.
So
you don't get full functionality, but I give you access. You get to see whatever documents you want. So, my angst with mortgagers is this, and it's not you guys, it's the underwriting, and I totally get what goes on with the process.
Beat me up.
I will send you all the documents in the world, and you guys will come back 2 days later and go, well, I can't find this one. Exactly.
You got me up against the ropes, man. You got me up against the ropes.
So
no, you're right, man. You're absolutely right. Here's what happens, okay? And I'm not, I don't want to get off the subject or anything like that, but you send it to me, and then it goes to, and then I got to send somebody else, and they got to send it, have to send it to somebody else, and you would think that it's all part of the file or whatever, and it wouldn't get lost, but for one reason or another, I don't know. It just seems to happen. It's happened to me. I'm not, I don't walk on water, but it does seem to happen. So I love that in Loop. You're telling me it's kind of like a Dropbox or something like that, where you can invite me in and I can see what you would send to me anyway.
Right. Right. Yeah. You get it in there and you're going to get, I can share it with you. And what happens when I share it with you, you're going to get a notification basically via email that you have documents shared with you, and you can come in and access that at that point in time. And what I like about that is when you guys call me up and say, Justin, I can't find this document. Why haven't you sent it to me yet? I can say, you know what? You have access. Go to that email, pull it up.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's beautiful. I love that. I'm going to start telling my agents, I don't know, maybe they already are using it, but maybe they don't know that feature of it. So I'll definitely going to be pushing that for sure.
Well, and it
that
does.
Makes my life a little
and the
easier
honest
too.
answer is now, from the regards of going that stuff, I'd have to know who the underwriter is to invite them. That's not always something that you can know, but I could invite them too. But better yet, it's an irrelevant situation at that point in time, because if you know you just need to go grab a document, you can go pull it out and find it. Now, what it does take, and I don't know if Holly's hitting it or not, but when she talked about non-trained agents, that it does take a level of training to teach these agents how to name those files, how to put these files correctly in there. So when you come in there as a mortgage, you go, well, that's great that you put it in here, but where?
Yeah, right. Which one is number 220? Yeah, you got to name these. Technology is only as good as the input, right? Out. So you gotta.
So it does take training, and we spend a lot of time when I set up agents in our office. I know Sean. She said she was Orland Park. Our office, Keller Williams, St. Charles. We were one of the first ones to get this up and running, and we were pushing it really pretty hard. And I spent hours training our agents, working on this stuff and getting them and working on. I mean, the first thing I taught was not even how to get into Loop, was just doing what you just talked about. What are you naming your files? How are you separating this stuff out? Let's talk about the logistics of what's going on. I understand we can't do everything, but let's get things going a little bit easier.
Right. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
We've talked about that before. There's only about 10% of the agents who know what they're doing, right? So, but let's kind of go on from that, because I want to get into some of these other things here. You tell me, but I think Evernote is the big thing, right? And Evernote, you're talking about reminders and all that kind of stuff. I think that kind of ties into this, right? So if you don't Loop sends you a reminder, which is really, really cool, but you can also do the same thing in Evernote. Well, you can do one extra step, I guess.
I just think you handle a little differently inside of Evernote, right? So you're trying to keep track of certain things you got to do, such as maybe a task list for every transaction, every new listing you get. You could put a task list in there and have that done there. It's going to remind you for every step that's going out in there. Plus, what's really nice about that is you can now capture pictures, right? So you put a task out there in Evernote, launch yard sign, right? Take a picture, it's done.
Well, but back up for a minute. Tell everybody what Evernote is, because until just recently, I got to be honest, I wasn't very familiar with Evernote. Google Keep, I was, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. But tell everybody, because Evernote seems to be catching on here.
That's a good thing. Although I think Evernote should have caught on about 4 years ago. Evernote is basically a note keeping tool, right? It's going to replace that big not big, depending on what you were, that little piece of binder paper that you always had at your Post-it notes, that works too. That's really what Google Keep is more designed for. But, the way I've always translated Evernote is I used to have a couple agents in there that would take notes. They go to classes, they do whatever, and they try to learn this stuff. And they would take those small composition books, right? And they'd write all their notes in there, and they kept them for historical records. Yep. And they, you go to their shelves and they've got 15, 20 composition books with all notes they've done from every class in the world. And which is awesome. No offense to what they're doing. It's great. But if I asked them, hey, you know what? 2 years ago, we went through X class. We talked about this thing. Do you remember what tool they mentioned? I don't know. And then, and they're going to go, pull out 5 books and they can't find it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Search.
So one of the things that I encourage doing is you use Evernote because it's the same composition book strategy. But what you do in there is you can now name it strategically. You can tag it strategically. Right. And the best thing about it is you can search on it. So,
that's awesome.
Absolutely.
That feature alone
so I don't have to worry about not remembering whatever. I just maybe I know this guy talked about an author. Okay, I don't remember the whole thing I did, so I typed the author's name, and anything that popped up with that author's name, the notes I took will show up in my results.
Right. That's perfect. I mean, I'm always searching. Hey, where did I put that sticky note at? Where's that thing? I'm always so Evernote, just for that searchability.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I also, going along that line is you do have some tools. You actually have a business card taker you can do with Evernote. I didn't even do that beginning. What all I did was just come in there with a regular Evernote notebook, as they're called, and you take a note. I take a picture of a business card. So I don't keep business cards. I have them, but I hardly even give mine out. But if I get one, I don't even take it from them. I say, keep it. I'm going to take a picture of it. It's going to go straight into Evernote, because when I need to search on you, I'll search on realtor, and now all the realtors will pop up. And better yet, I will get clients that will sit there and say, do you have a home inspector? Do you have a roofing guy? I just type those terms in, and all the ones pop up, and I just send it to them.
Can you take that picture of that business card and attach it to
if you do it through their Evernote business card tool, yes. But if you do it my way, no.
That's good.
I'm only using part of it. That goes off to the things that you do what you know and don't what you don't. I know what the tool does. I know how it works. It's called Hello. It works actually. It actually works pretty good. I'm just so used to what I'm having, and I know how to search inside my environment right now. So I like having that database of names. Now, I will admit I will use Hello if I know I'm trying to add you into my phone, right? So if I met you, Jason, we're at NAR right now, and I met you, I'm going to take a picture. No card is going to use Hello because I know I want it to come straight into my phone. Other than that, I don't typically worry about it because I want to have this resource of names that I can share quickly and easily into someone's environment. So it's just different ways of doing things. And for me, it's just a different way of how I thought about how to process that and to make me paperless and easy moving forward.
Yeah, no, that's powerful stuff. I like that a lot. And, I downloaded about a week ago, Google Keep. And I haven't really played around with it too much, but I've been reading up on it. Holy cow, that's a powerful deal. So if you're, a Gmail user or, Google kind of guy, and I think they have it for Apple too, because Evernote goes both Google ways, Keep. Right? Android or Apple. Google Keep. I just read an article just a couple days ago where they finally, I don't know if they didn't have it before, now they do. But if you're on an Apple and you keep a Gmail account, having Google Keep, because it puts it right on the desktop, it sets your reminders. It does.
I do like Google Keep for the same thing. Cool. To me, I'm so ingrained in Evernote that's pretty much how I deal with everything. But I like, you referenced, you've showed them a couple of times your Post-it notes. That's how I think about Evernote. When I got to write that one little thumbtack that I want to post and I want to keep in my head somewhere, I go use Evernote real quick. So something that's, it's just beeping at you, beep, 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 beep. So that's how I use Evernote, or Google Keep rather. Evernote is for my notes that I want to use and reference back all the time and have things. Keep is something I would say not a to-do list, but it's that blinking yellow siren saying, pay attention to me.
Right. Now, I haven't explored this too much, but on Google Keep, can you write down, let's say, for example, a phone number, and then
supposed to.
You can
I haven't done that in a while here's the reason
Keep.
why I haven't done that one in a while. Right, you're supposed to be able to do that. The reason I haven't done that is I don't know if you can see this or not, but I have a Samsung Note 4. So what I can, yeah. So what I can literally do on my Samsung Note 4 is I can take that same note that you're talking about, I can write it in here, and I can automatically add it to a contact or make a phone call. So that functionality you're talking with Google Keep, I have not done in a long time, but I know initially it was working. So 3 years ago, I know it was working full time, but I have not tested that in 3 years. So, and it's funny because that came out in Google Keep first, but other companies, Samsung, picked up on it and made it a little bit more useful, because now you don't have to worry about putting in a note. You can write it from anywhere on your phone. And actually the Note 5, you can even do it from a black screen. So you could be in screensaver mode and you can write that phone number out and it will automatically be there for you.
I know. And I've done that a couple times. That's what I just got. I had the Note 2 and it took a dump on me last week. And
so you like the Note 5?
I had to get an upgraded phone. So I said, well, I'll go.
See, everybody likes that little black little area, and that kills me the most. Don't put that stylus in backwards.
Yeah, I know. I saw some articles.
It doesn't break the phone. It just breaks. What it breaks is, when you pull that stylus out. When you pull that stylus out, it recognizes, it'll turn your phone on. If you put it in backwards, there's a little like nub in the area. You're basically breaking that nub off. So now it does never know when that pulling out. So like that little black screen trick would never ever work for you. Everything else will still pretty much work for you. Just that kind of stuff would work for you. And then if you actually lost your stylus, the phone would never know it because it doesn't work.
Right. Gotcha. But I'm going to utilize Google Keep. I'm going to explore it on every angle. Because here's the thing that I hate. I'm a big calendar guy, right? So I use my Google Calendar like crazy. And I put it on my phone. It carries over to my desktop. It sends my reminders. It goes with me everywhere because they all kind of communicate with one another. And so I'm really looking forward to the Google Keep, where I can put things in. And again, with a Note 5 or Note 4 or any Note for that matter, you can do the same thing. But I hate clicking on the, I tried doing the voice thing with my phone, where hey, set reminder for this day or whatever, set appointment or whatever. And sometimes the voice recognition doesn't really go very well. So I'm looking forward to the Google Keep and using it for that functionality, where I can just put in a calendar or to-do list or something, and it carries.
And that's exactly what I love about Google Keep, right? Because it is pretty much platform agnostic. And they treat it pretty much as Post-it notes. So you can put a Post-it note on your computer, on your fridge, on whatever you want, and you're solid, right? So no, I agree. And my problem is, I'm so ingrained in Evernote, I don't think that way. And I do got to get back to Google Keep, because there are just various functionalities that keep improving on that make that much better, even than Evernote, again, from that perspective.
And speaking of that, okay, we're talking about all platforms there as far as Google and stuff like that. I still see a lot of realtors who use their local internet provided, email address. And I tell some of my agents, I'm like, hey, you really need to look at a Gmail or a Yahoo or some kind of other platform for your email address because of these functionalities that we're talking about, right? Because these won't carry over to here. We use Cox. Cox is a big internet provider, and a lot of realtors have the email through them, right? Instead of going to Gmail or Yahoo or some other kind of cloud-based kind of deal. And I'm always I think you kind of put yourself at a little bit of a disadvantage for some of these technologies by doing that just through your email.
I agree on
Would you agree
several levels of that. One, I always laugh, right? So if, for instance, you take Cox, you take Comcast, which is out here by us. You have that. Yep. Now you don't like Cox anymore or Comcast, right? What do? Now you got to translate that whole database over, and now you're playing this, this bouncing game, but you can't cancel too early because you'll lose your database, but you don't want to hold it on for another month because now you're spending $100 or $200 or whatever it may be. I'm not a big fan of that. I do like Gmail. Even Yahoo's not that bad. AOL's not bad. Hotmail's not bad. But if you do Hotmail or AOL, you're pretty much almost just screaming that you're dated, for a lack of better terms. Right, wrong, or indifferent. that's kind of what you're doing. But yeah, you have this, what goes on, and it just becomes a challenge in that regards. So I'm a big fan of Gmail. Right. Really, I'm a big fan of Gmail, and you can do some other email providers, not popular ones. But one of the things that you have inside of Gmail is there's a thing that's called, and it goes kind of what you're saying here. It's called Google Apps account. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, I use Google Apps like crazy. I got all kinds of Google Apps that like you said, they go through all.
But what I'm saying is the Google Apps. I'm saying the actual Google business account. Its technical name is Google Apps. That's what I'm asking.
Yeah. No, okay. I have Google Apps on my desktop.
What I'm talking about, you have, what's your acronym? You have jason@vos.com for your email address, but at vos.com is actually a Gmail account.
Oh, I have that through because I have my own website. So I have, Jason Bates at Valley of the Sun Real Estate.
But you've done it through HostGator or GoDaddy or whatever. Oh, okay, perfect.
Through Gmail, all through Google.
Because most people aren't aware, so I just want to make sure there's a thing called Google Business Accounts, which will give you the Gmail functionality, but it'll keep it in an environment, right? And the nice thing about that is you can now have your own domain with it, and such as the Valley of the Sun, and you can host that all through there. And what's nice is it's fairly cheap. It's like $50 for the year for one account. And then when you get another team member, you add one more person, it all has the same domain, and you have now branded yourself and your business.
Right. And that's why I say, using Comcast or it's like so out of date for me that I just can't, I can't bear it. When I talk to my agents, and they're using Comcast, you get a thunderstorm rolling. Yeah. I use Gmail for everything because it's just universal. I don't have to worry about transferring contacts or any of that kind of stuff. And with Google always adding these additional features like Google Keep and stuff like that, it just makes my life that much easier and not having to change.
And that's my whole thing. To me, it's consistency and it's going through. And the thing that I love about the Google, and I'm with you, I'm a big Google person. Everything I do is pretty much in the Google environment. I won't look at the iPhone just because it's not Google. I'm actually trying to eye down the Google Nexus 6P because I think that's the next phone I'm going with. So I'm very much ingrained in that system. But I do like it because I think they've actually understood what you're trying to do from a business and how you need to tie everything together. As an example, and going paperless, one of the things I didn't mention in our notes, which I probably should have put in there, I just thought of now, though, is Google Voice. And
I use
to me,
Google
that's
Voice,
a huge paperless solution, right? Not only do I have a secondary phone number attached to my phone, which is huge, I can also...
Well, it can be, right? I mean, if you're married, that can be a problem.
Who's calling? What's his number? But I can not only can I have this, but I will also get a text message and an email of the transcribed conversation that they had on the voicemail. Now, it's not great, but you can almost always get the idea of what the intent of the conversation was. And the other thing that I like about it is this, from an email perspective. Maybe this was a conversation. It was one of our clients, right? Me and you, Jason. I'm the realtor. You're the mortgage side of the world. So I get this email account that comes, or this voicemail that comes in talking about some things I need to know, and they have some concerns about questions. Well, instead of me saying, hey, Nancy, call Jason, I can just forward you the email. You can listen to it, and you can handle the business.
It's perfect. Again, I know. It's beautiful.
Worry about it. It's also a trail. I see that I got it, and I sent it to you.
And it's free, right? I mean, free is good.
Free is amazing,
especially in the real estate world. Free is amazing. Umail is another one. I used Umail before, right?
I used that for a while.
But I like the voice, the Google Voice better. Plus, too, here in Arizona, we're always going down to Mexico, and you can use international calling. Using the. Yeah, it's like really, really nice. So for that,
I like that. Actually what Google Voice was, and I actually had a beta account on that one, was Grand Central before they bought them. And they added a ton of functionality in there. And Michael just said he had 20 numbers in different locations which I think is an awesome idea. It's great from a marketing perspective. You know, you have area codes in various areas and you're marking that number. So it makes you feel local to the consumers, which I think is an awesome idea. It's a hard number to manage at that point in time because unfortunately you're going to have to be in those accounts and doing it, but it's an awesome idea. And I've done that in the past too. I had at one point in time, because I'm an early adopter with Google Apps. So I have 50 free accounts for one website. So I can have 50 numbers if I wanted to and do all sorts of stuff. So I was doing things for investors and like that and having a very specific number. I did it all the time. It's an amazing idea.
Yeah, and you can also then track your efforts when it comes to your marketing, right? So if you're marketing and you put a certain number on there, you can see the kind of penetration or ROI that you get back from that. So it's a great tracking tool as well.
Yeah, and I completely agree with that. To me, that's one thing I always try to do when I teach classes is talk about one very basic thing. And you have to be able to find out what's working. So even if you don't want to have, you know, as you're saying, you don't want to have 20 different maybe area codes. You want to have 20 numbers just to know, okay, this marketing ad worked. This one, you got me nothing, right? You can go back and forth and handle that business that way. Right. And it becomes an extremely useful situation. I mean, there's other apps. You mentioned it earlier. I love the calendar app. I like the calendar app for two things. One, I can put that calendar app and I can embed it on my website. So now consumers can see what times I have available. And there's actually third-party apps, especially from your Google Apps account. There are third-party apps that will actually let your clients schedule from inside there as well. So,
wow. So an agent who's really busy or a client can actually go in there and schedule a time to sit down with that particular agent or to discuss whatever, right?
Yep, absolutely.
That's really cool. I didn't realize
there's a bunch of apps that way that will let you do some very cool things in those regards. And to me, again, you're doing two things by trying to be electronic and being a truly mobile office, because it's going to be too hard for you to schedule your whole day away. You just can't. But you do need to let your clients know that you are available, but not at every hour of the day. I mean, you just got to let them know this stuff. And so some of the things you got to do is you got to set this out there and make it available, make it truly a mobile environment where you have this, come sign up. And the nice thing about it is you're going to get alerts and you're going to be able to say yes or no. And there's all sorts of third-party apps. I mean, I had one that was a service company that was doing it for me. It cost me $100 a year to do it. So it wasn't a terrible price. The reason I stopped using that particular software was I'm moving away from the service side and moving just more to training and speaking side of stuff.
Got it. Very cool. Well, I want to, we talked about Gmail there a little bit. I also want to talk about, text messaging, because I'm kind of goes all, which, Google Voice will text message you the actual transcript of the voicemail as well, which is really, really cool. And by the way, I want to jump back to the Google Voice. One thing I use it for is I can skip messages, kind of like what you could do in Umail, where you can skip the message. So I may get a message from my, mom or whatever, and I can call her back later, right? But I may have something that's super important that I need to call back right now. And this allows you to kind of skip through your messages without actually having to, listen to every single message like you do with your service provider when they do your voicemail. So Google Voice, if you don't have it, please get it because it is a time saver, most definitely.
Have you grouped your Gmail contacts?
I did. I just started doing, I got so many. I've got like about 5,000. And every time I go to the phone, right, a phone company, and when I lost, I didn't lose it, but my phone crashed on me. They're like, "You got how many contacts?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, I know, it's kind of crazy." So I just started doing that. I'm going to start working on that. That's
what I like. The reason I was going with that question, the thing that I love about Google Voice is you can group your messages, right? So you have a family message. You can sit there and say, sorry, I can't talk to you guys right now. I'll call you back at my earliest convenience. And, like one person I know would say love you at the end. And it was funny because the people didn't realize you could customize the messages so detailed that they asked them, do you say love you to everybody?
Yeah.
No, it's just you guys.
Love the world. Love the world. Peace out. Peace.
But, and you were talking about messaging, and it goes actually kind of ties naturally in there. Because one of the apps that I truly love and I think is amazing is I'm a big Google Hangouts guy, which I think is an awesome. Report's a good tool too, Sean. I like those tools. But Hangouts is great because I get to have that conversation. it links my text messaging, my Google Voice, and another messaging channel. I forget which one it is. Oh, just regular Google messaging all into one thing, where now I can have this one environment to do all my messaging conversations, and I get to keep track of the whole conversation and know what's going on. And basically, I can archive it if I choose. So I love that from a messaging perspective. And again, it's truly staying mobile and being accessible to your clients when you need to.
Now, one drawback on that though doesn't the recipient also have to be a Gmail user?
Nope, not from a text messaging side. I got several people I send text messages to all the time that they have no idea what device is coming from.
Gotcha. Okay, that's good to know. I didn't realize that.
You know, it's one of the things that I truly like about it, and because it's truly universal. And the nice thing about it is, again, if you use it and you tie it in with your Google Voice, you can pick which number you send from. So you don't have to ever give out your personal number if you don't want to. Gotcha. So it becomes nice.
Makes
and
sense.
Again, what I like about it, now I don't know, unlike Michael, I don't know what you do when you have 20 numbers because you only get one as far as that goes.
Right? Meeny, miny, mo. Right? No, I mean, if you're getting, in all seriousness, if you're getting some kind of response from a particular mailer or something that you did to kind of, push that number, you can respond back with that same number. So that's good. That's a good, that way you can respond back, and the person on whoever received that, expects it from that same number. So that's good that you can choose that number. That's a good feature. Now with text messaging, I want to get into this a little bit because text messaging seems to be, it was taken off there for quite some time. What kind of, are there apps out there that allow you to put a database of the text messages and then you can send out a push message to everybody within that?
I think it's called GoText. I got to remember now. Go something. There are a bunch of text messages. I used to do this all the time during the holiday season where, starting about right now, I would start writing Happy Thanksgiving or Merry Christmas. Right, but they wouldn't go out until those days, so I could schedule posts out and all this stuff. So my phone during Christmas and Thanksgiving Day is blowing up, but I haven't sent a text message to anybody. And you can go out there and do that stuff. So there are third-party apps, and all you got to really do, either I know both have it. I actually think iPhone might actually have it built in these days, if I remember right. And again, I'm not an iPhone guy, so I don't remember exactly. But you might actually have it built in. But I know both applications, if you search for like scheduled text, they have apps out there, and you just got to pick the one you like. I was using one that was like Go SMS. I think that's what it was, Go SMS, that I could post schedule all that stuff out. Now that I've moved to Hangouts, I've kind of lost that functionality, but I am doing more with my Facebook Messenger and more with my my business page on Facebook for getting some of that same conversation out.
Gotcha. So then Go SMS, you set the date. You set the pretext of whatever it is that you want to say. Happy Thanksgiving, happy birthday, whatever. Can you set multiple?
It's one at a time. That's why I start now. Right? I sit here. What I do, and I know there's apps that will let you group it out now, but I just never did. I always wanted, because what I would do is I would personally write something for each note. They have a blank beginning, and there'd be something at the end to kind of personalize it. So you basically, it's 4:30 on a Saturday. If I wasn't doing anything on a Saturday night, I'm having dinner and I'm just watching TV, this is all I'd be doing for the next 5 hours. And I just start planning this stuff out and I'm just writing. So by the time Thanksgiving and Christmas come around, I'm sending out hundreds of texts. But I haven't done it because I took, an hour each night, maybe even 30 minutes each night for a couple weeks to get it done. Easy texting. That was another one. Thanks, Mike.
And Michael. I've read.
Yes, that's another one.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Checking that one out and checking both these out because I've read that text messaging is a lot more receptive or better received, I guess, than even an email.
Oh, yeah. You're having better conversation. It's actually kind of funny to me right now. Kind of goes along this line is actually what they're saying right now is Twitter is a better place for conversations than Facebook, specifically because of word count needs. You have to be more precise about your conversation.
Right. So, now, because I've, there's a bunch of email, right? You can set up email distributions and all that kind of stuff. And there's a bunch of different programs for that. And, if that, then this kind of stuff for email, but I haven't seen any of those kind of, if that, or this kind of programs for text messaging. Really. And I think it would be Yeah. So I've I get a thing from my dentist every time they have a opening. They want to drill in my teeth, right? And I'm like, hey man, you guys are like, I hate you guys. You guys cause me pain. Why do I want to see you? Right. But I always get a text message from those guys saying, hey, we got a chair open. You want to come, get your teeth cleaned or whitened or whatever. And I thought it was pretty cool. Right. I'm like, oh, wow. You just texted me out of the blue. So I thought that would be pretty. There might be some
there
applications
definitely
in there
are, but they have
realtors.
costs.
Maybe like
big
a just
cost. Like Easy Text will have certain costs like that. Will do that. And there's actually there's actually tools out there that will let you do that all the time. I haven't researched in a while, and I should. That's a good point. That could be an actually separate topic all in its own right from a blab session, because there are actually very large opportunities for that to come through. I'll be honest, I have not researched that specific example for a while, but I know when I was looking at like 2-3 years ago, it was going to be like a minimum of $100 a month, and you only got so many texts out of that.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I was thinking maybe you could get like I know through like Experian.com you can buy like phone numbers and stuff like that. And let's say you did just sold, and you could just pick that neighborhood maybe and say, hey, I just sold, and send a text message out to everybody. If it's a not a landline, of course, but and maybe we're not there yet for that kind of technology, but just trying to think outside the box that maybe those kind of programs could be.
Yeah, what I don't know. I mean, it's a good question. What I don't know is I'd be more concerned from the CAN Spam Act, and if phones tie to that as well, right? Because you need to get permission to be in there.
Oh, gotcha.
So I'd be a little. I mean, to me, that one thing that I'd want to make sure you did before you got in there is make sure you weren't violating that act. Yes, and that is very true, Michael. iPhone has some very neat functionality for blocking me. So, but the other thing that I like, and I hinted at earlier, was Facebook Messenger, and I find that tool to be an amazing, great tool because it has its own separate app outside the Facebook arena. People having fun with us?
Yeah, no, Mike, I love his comments.
We're going to get you in here in a second because I want to hear what you guys have to say.
Yeah.
But
Mike's awesome.
So I like Facebook Messenger. And the reason I like Facebook Messenger, one is I think is one of the things they've done really neat. They've added they had their convention in May, I think, this year. And they were talking about adding some really neat functionality inside of Messenger from a service perspective, right? Where you can start doing service calls and having conversations inside there. And it's going to be an amazing tool that comes on the road. It's not there yet, but yes, that's exactly what I was getting at. One of these I think is absolutely fun for realtors to have right now from a mobile office and agent. And when I send to consumers, they get the biggest kick out of some of the stupidest things in the world I send to them. They have automated GIFs that will pop up. You can search for certain things and send a GIF right there. And it is one of the funniest things in the world to do because you just start typing things and you send something stupid to them, stops the conversation in place. They go, "What are you doing?"
Yeah. Right. No, I saw that just yesterday, actually. And there are some funny ones in there.
To me, one of the things that I think we all do as professionals, sometimes as realtors, we just get a little too caught up in our own seriousness. Right? Business. And that's fine. Right. We got to make transactions. Being funny doesn't pay the bills. But I think one of the things that has to happen is
Mike's always got these gifts and stuff. He does that. He does a great job with them, man. They're awesome.
But I do think it's neat, and I think Facebook's doing something. I mean, one of the things you're going to see in the next year, though, is Facebook is going to start adding some customer relationship tools inside of Messenger. So I think what you want to do now is get used to Messenger, because I think down the road you're going to start seeing some things in there, like someone has an open house question, you'll be able to answer it on the fly type of thing. And they're going to add some real neat functionality in there that I think can be extremely useful from a real estate perspective. It's not there yet. They're still a little bit off, but it's things they put in the pipeline starting last May, which I would think by next summer will be at play in a major way.
Let me ask you about that, because I listened to a couple things yesterday, or I think it was Wednesday or whatever, and some of the guys were saying that Facebook is pretty much dead. The growth of Facebook has reached its saturation point, if you will, which is huge. Don't get me wrong. It's amazingly big. But has the newness of that worn off? And that's why we're seeing some of these integrations in with, instant messaging and things like that to make it more relevant.
Here's what I say. Now, you're absolutely right. You're dealing with 1.5 billion monthly 1.5 billion monthly active users on Facebook. That's an insane number.
You can
obviously the population growth is going to continue to grow. So you're going to get growth, but you're not going to get exponential growth anymore. You're pretty much flatlining at this point in time. But I think that's why Google specifically, and Facebook as well, have started to separate out their applications, right? Meaning Messenger, these things. You need to have other ways for people to interact because Facebook is getting a little inundated with garbage in complete candor. So you got to have some ways of getting this personal things going on. Facebook owns Instagram. They own WhatsApp. They own Facebook, right? They own all these tools out here. So they're segmented out all the way through. And I think that one of the things that you're going to see in here is they'll start putting priorities on where we tend to go, right? So we spend more time on Facebook Messenger, which we obviously are doing. They have spent in the last 2 months a lot of effort changing that around. So I think you're just going to start seeing things like that. And again, that's why I think you want to pay attention. Yeah, Oculus Rift is another one as well, which I think is Michael, pay attention about 2 weeks when I have my tech tips that are going to change the world for real estate agents, because that is definitely part of it.
So are you giving us a teaser right now?
Because I think I hinted at you. I won't give it completely away, but I hinted at you when we were talking on the phone on one of the topics that I think is huge for us to talk about. It's going to be basically the 5 tech trends that are going to change real estate. And they're definitely they're here now, but but they're not prime time.
But no.
So and Oculus Rift is definitely part of that trick because it's all the same thing. So I don't want to beat Messenger to death because again, it's not quite there yet. But it's some things that I just like to always make sure to point out for future trends because things you got to pay attention to in a very near future.
Now, I'll tell you, too, that I think that we missed some things here because I always used Facebook for personal, right? So that was my immediate friends, family, my little sphere of influence. And then I hear, and being part of Blab in the community here, there's a lot of agents that use Facebook and they get a lot of business from Facebook. And they integrate in their personal with their business side, right? And that's how they, gain rapport and get the trust factor and all that kind of stuff going. I think there's a little bit of a wall there for most agents in regards to that because although she's doing a great job of that, most people don't, they don't want to see or have the exposure of their personal life out there to the masses for one reason or another. And so I know I was guilty of that. Facebook I use for personal stuff. If I'm out with my buddies and, doing certain things, and it's always a happy time on Facebook, right? There's never bad times on Facebook. But, we don't separate. And then we have a business page that's all business and it's all kind of prim and proper, button up your tie and put on the sport coat and there you go. Do you think that kind of, they're trying to bridge that gap a little bit through what they're trying to do with instant messaging? I mean, I can only message, the people that I know that are in my sphere, right?
One of the things that they're actually trying to do is now that's not going to necessarily mean something for us real estate agents, but I think there's going to be plays afterwards on this. One of the things they're specifically working on right now is the ability for sales reps to communicate with people that have just bought a package that have problems, right? So they're trying to make Messenger kind of be a service call, so to speak. So they're absolutely going after that.
Oh, okay. So right. That could be a game changer right there, right?
So again, that won't help us realtors, right? But there's plays from that will help, right? So if you can make a service call, that's what's going on. Why can't you 2 months after you sell a home, get a quick shout out, get a quick touch on that? Say, hey, by the way, for the next day, 24 hours, my this year's closers can reach out and have any questions you have on housing stuff, right?
Well, yeah, not only that, but let's say they buy a home warranty and the home warranty is getting ready to expire. That's a way to solicit to extend that home warranty or something like that, right? So that there are some.
So I think there's some big plays, and they're recognizing that. I mean, that's also why business pages started, because people were using their personal account as a business account. They had to separate that stuff out. So they're taking steps. Although, what's Facebook's number one goal? They've actually said it. They said it jokingly, but I think it's true. They want to rule the world.
I don't know, dominate the world. Yeah. I heard here on Blab, the owners of Blab, they want to.
That's a good goal. Google. Good luck with that one. I don't think Sergey wants to sell.
Right? Yeah, shoot for the. Yeah, shoot for the moon and you hit the mountaintop, right? So that's what you got to do. All right, cool. So now CRMs, stuff like that. I think we want to talk a little bit about CRMs and what's out there. And
again, for me, a mobile world, one of the things, and again, I think this will be another subtopic at some point in time that we break things out to understanding how to pick a proper CRM. I'm not going to go into that because that is an hour conversation in its own right. But what I want to get across at this point in time, first place CRM, use your favorite acronym: customer relationship management, client relation management, customer, database. It's your database, right? It has marketing tools in there, has ways of keeping track of the conversations you had, and hopefully does, some transactional processes in there as well, hopefully for you. You have the big ones: Top Producer, probably AgentWise, one of the big ones. You can even go bigger than that if you want. Salesforce. You could also go like Aweber or MailChimp if you want a real simple one for free. So you have various ones that exist out there for you that can work for you. The only thing that I really wanted to get on here from a very brief perspective with CRMs is it's a great mobile solution because all of them have mobile technology in them today because they had to, right? They didn't really want to, but they had to. And it's a great way of managing that conversation and making those things. Like I know Top Producer inside the app, or at least they did it. I haven't used it for 3 years, but when they had it, I could actually just go through my database on my phone and make phone calls straight from there and it will record, right? So that, you want to, when you're looking for CRMs and you have this, just realize that's a great mobile solution. You have your database at your hands and you can do whatever you want. Make phone calls. You're sitting at an open house. No one shows up. Go up your CRM and start activating that stuff. Well, Contactually, I like that one as well. I agree. I think Contactually is a good one. Sean, I do agree. I think eEdge has got some good solutions in there. Well, obviously, Keller Williams has their own tool in place for that. I do think it's good. The only thing I would say is, as far as eEdge is, it definitely has some things that's got to work on. But from a CRM and for what we pay for it, is an amazingly great tool.
Here's the only thing I would say on a CRM, Justin, is if you're going to pick a CRM, make sure that you can customize that a little bit. Because, like, for instance, today I was looking at some tweets from agents that I follow. They had the exact same tweet. What are mortgage rates doing in week of November 9th? And it's like, well, if I'm a consumer and I'm shopping for a realtor and I see the same stuff, then I'm not too inclined to use that person. Or if I get an email on how to make sidewalk chalk or another pumpkin pie, email, I'm going to flip, right? So have a CRM that you can customize, that you can embed video in, that you can do things that are unique to you and your business is my suggestion. I don't care which one that is. I used Realty Juggler for a little while. Yep. It's for realtors. It's really cheap. I think it's like $99 a year or something like that.
Yep.
But you can embed video. You can do all sorts of things with it, customize. They have some templates in there. It's pretty good. And it has your commissions in there. You can structure it. There's all kinds of stuff in there. Of course, that I didn't use because I'm a lender. But from a real estate perspective, there was a lot of functionality in that one, and pretty cheap.
Only I'm going to do is I completely 1,000% agree with you. I can't stand seeing the same email come to me 5 times in a row from realtors. Which first place tracks me up on a realtor. Why are you sending me your stuff? But that's okay. Different conversation. But I agree. You look at the same thing over and over. The only thing that I do is I do teach this quite a bit. You do need to start customizing and doing this stuff, but don't customize it in sacrifice of sending it out. Right? Yeah, you got to get it out because no matter how much you customize, if it never goes out, it's great. It's great marketing material for nobody.
Any contact, good contact, right? Yeah, I get that. Right. So I completely agree with what you're saying. Not to negate anything that you're talking about, but the only thing I ever worry about is I have watched agents forever keep typing, and I came back to them 6 months later, and they're still working on the same emails. It's like, oh no. Well, you got to set goals. That's about goals. That's
true. Fair enough.
Achievable goals too, right?
But you mentioned something, and I think it's play, right? So what I'm hearing stats, Marky Lemons is a favorite of mine. She's a great trainer, great speaker. She says in 2019, 79% of all content will be consumed via video, right? So one of the tools I like for a CRM, it's not a complete CRM, but a decent CRM type solution is BombBomb, because that is a video-based email solution that you can send out. Yeah. And I think that's a very good one and it goes completely along with what you're saying. It's always going to be customized because you got to create your own videos.
Well, iJot, have you ever heard of iJot?
Yep, love iJot.
Yeah, iJot's really good. It's not for the Android stuff. It's really good for the Apple people out there because it has an app and you can actually record. And iJot really, you can add stuff in to it, but it's Vmail is what it is. It's video email. That really hasn't taken off too much, but you can just record a video and email it out to the person, which is really cool. So iJot's another one for that.
Perfect. Yeah, no, and I agree. I love iJot. I think it's a good tool. It worked for me very well, and it worked before it had an iPhone solution. I just did straight from the laptop and sent it out.
I did a few from laptop as well. Yep.
Because I was using that 4 years ago. Because there's other tools like that do the same thing. But that one I thought worked out very, very well from that regard. And it was free. I mean, for the most part, if you got to a certain number, you start charging you. But most agents will never hit that number.
Exactly.
So cool. Anything else you want to hit on those? Although otherwise, we can start trying to invite Michael in so he can harass us verbally.
Yeah, Mike, join us, man. You got a lot of good information, dude.
So you had a ton of stuff. Anybody else wants to? We got 2 spots, so whoever gets there, go.
Sean, I don't know if your audio is fixed or not. Maybe it is or isn't. I don't know. But if it is, then you can join us and give us your thoughts there. Let's see. I think Sean may try to join us. She was having some troubles yesterday. It was kind of a bummer. She was doing a blab yesterday and having some difficulties. And I think her husband was kind of helping out with the blab. He was doing a really good job covering for her.
Oh, we got somebody trying. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, see what happens there, huh?
Hey, I hear noise.
Hey. So can you hear me?
Gotcha.
Awesome. You're on the. Now you're not driving, are you?
No, I'm in the passenger seat.
That's good.
Finally,
Don't want
audio.
any troubles.
Right. Yeah, Michael's got some awesome things going on. I'm gonna have him creating some of those GIFs for me. Those things are powerful. Those things are really hitting.
Yeah, absolutely. And it seems to be, it's kind of old technology, right? But a lot of people are kind of using it now. And like you said, as an animated business card, it's fantastic.
Yep. A lot of the things that were old are now coming back. So don't throw away anything. Keep your bell bottoms, your stacks, everything.
Oh, you'll never see me in bell bottoms unless I lose a bet of some sort.
Or maybe the flip phone, right? The flip phone, will that come back?
Oh, I don't
They
know.
already are coming back. Sony's trying to create it twice now.
Are they?
Oh, geez.
They'll have the flip phone that folds out into a screen or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. That's what they tried. They tried that about a year ago.
Yeah. Well, good luck with that.
So where are you at? Where do you you're a realtor, right, Sean? I think I saw your.
Yeah, I'm a realtor. I'm also with Keller Williams, just like Justin. I'm in Orland Park though. I was at the Hyde Park office, and then they shut down. So then now I'm out at Orland.
And that's in Kansas City, is that right?
No, it's Illinois.
It's in Illinois.
Oh, it's in Illinois. Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna surround you yet. We're gonna put George in at one point in time, and you're just gonna be the odd man out.
There you go.
Holy cow, Illinois is all over the place.
You bet.
That's good. That's awesome. So, what kind of technologies do you use? Obviously, you're kind of into Blab, right? Which this is a whole nother deal, right? Live streaming and.
It is. I actually touched on. I was touching on Google Hangouts for a while, which this is very similar to, but for some reason this is taken off like wildfire versus Google Hangouts, and they were talking about some of the pros and cons in another blab the other day, and I mean, I'm loving Blab. I'm loving the high fives. I'm the way that you actually engage back and forth. So video is starting to be my new number one main way of engaging with, not only customers and clients, which obviously is our intent, but also other industry professionals like yourself, loan officers and other agents. I mean, we're all working this thing together. It's about time we start acting like it. You know what I mean? Exactly.
Yeah. And this is a way to contact people that you wouldn't otherwise contact. And, reading somebody's profile on Twitter or Google Plus or Facebook for that matter, doesn't really give you a sense of who they are and what they represent.
Absolutely.
Like talking to them, right? So Blab is plus the other thing I think the reason it's taken off is because it's so easy. Right?
Yeah.
Google Hangouts is a little clunky, right? It's a little difficult. You got to invite people.
And I think you have to have a Gmail account in order to communicate with somebody with that, if I'm not mistaken.
You create the live feed, you have to have a Google account. Other than that, you could probably sneak in because there's ways I've created Google Hangouts where I can actually have an audience. It costs a little bit more to do it, but you can have an audience and have people play along with you.
Exactly. So yeah, this is one neat way to actually get it done. And like you said, the little blurb that you put about yourself in your profile. I mean, if you're not very creative and a great aesthetic soundbiter, you're gonna look a little goofy. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I always tell agents you got to put like the 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock news headline on there for your
exactly. Getting to click on it. Yeah.
You're right. Now, do you use like Google Sheets or Google Keep, I should say, or Evernote or anything like that? Do you use any of those?
I do. I use Evernote as a result of actually listening to Marky. Justin mentioned talking about Marky, and she's real big on Evernote and business cards. And like I was already saying, I'm not collecting any more business cards. I'm not giving out any more business cards. I just collect them. And sure enough, that was her strategy. I said, you know what? That's my new strategy, because you give out tons and tons. I've given out 2,500 in the last quarter of the year. And how many people have called me as a result of my business cards? Because I am asking, how did you get my information? How did you find me? 2 people said from your business cards. 2,500 business cards. No, thank you.
Yeah.
Give me yours.
Right. Exactly. Now, what
And
about?
I don't even want theirs.
Exactly. Take a picture.
Right. What about the QR code? Now, I've seen like QR codes on, as business cards. I think a title company here does that. I don't know if they do that in Chicago.
Absolutely. I use them. I actually had them on my business cards that I had. And it took people back to my app, my Keller Williams mobile app.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you get a lot of traffic as a result of that? Or
I did, absolutely. I actually still use the QR code on my website. So if someone goes to my site, they can actually use their phone and go to my app versus trying to type in the code to put in my app. It'll just use that QR code and take them right there without having to put in any codes.
Now, I saw one QR code that was the contact information that it would put it in the person's contacts. So they click on it, and it would actually put them in the contacts of their phone or whatever, which was kind of cool. I thought.
Absolutely. You can make QR codes do pretty much any function that you wanted to do with all these platforms that they have out here.
Right.
So yeah, mine is just a traffic driver basically to my app and my website. But there are so many things you can do with them. I saw this one company came to one of the conferences that I went to years ago, Illinois Association of Realtors, and his shirt didn't have the company name or his name or anything. It was just a big QR code. It was really cool. It's when they kind of like first hit the scene. Yeah. It was cool.
I think I knew who that was.
Yeah. I want to say Terry Watson. That's who's coming to mind right now. I think that's who it
Sounds
was.
right.
Yeah.
That's what I would have guessed.
I've used QR codes, Justin, you and I spoke about this off camera or whatever, Craigslist, right? So I've used QR codes in Craigslist because they still allow for QR codes as a picture to do advertising and drive people away from there onto, my website or whatever. I've gotten pretty good response from that, but I don't do the Google Analytics or any of that stuff, so I don't know quite how much traffic I got from that, but it did seem to, boost it a little bit. So maybe that's a way to, post your listings or whatever on there.
Well, the nice thing about QR codes, if you do it through Google, and again, obviously I'm a Google guy, but you use Google shortener, GOO.GL. You can create a short link to your website or whatever you want. It will create a URL shortener, but also create your own QR code. So you can then put that everywhere and find out how well that QR code is working or isn't working.
So put it in the chat. What is that? Google shortage?
Shortener. It's just it's all it is. It's It's Google without the E.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So you can create your own. It's like Bitly. It's like all the other shorteners out there. It's in the URL.
Yeah.
Then what I like about it is I can get statistics. Google's about statistics, so I can get that data points and I can see what's going on.
Very cool. I use Tiny URL.
I've used that one. I've tried them all, especially when I was trying to beat Craigslist while they were trying to get rid of all the website links available to you. So while they wouldn't use Tiny URL. So I went to Bitly. They wouldn't allow Bitly. Then I went to Google. That one lasted a little bit longer. They weren't aware of it as quick. And I really fell in love when I found Google because it was, again, it just gave me, it's not huge data points, but just gave me base data points to know if I was having any success at all with that hit or not.
All right, cool. Well, we're going to try to have these, and we're kind of undecided, right? Justin and I have been talking about, because there's a lot of technology out there for realtors. So we want to, and Justin's really into and kind of the student of technology for realtors. He's kind of the expert in this is his forte. But we're trying to figure out what time and day and all that kind of stuff to have this stuff. So we're going to have it once
Definitely once,
What do
at
you
least
think?
early on,
Once a
once a week.
week,
I mean, if we
Justin?
start running out, if I start running out of things to say, which is going to be very unlikely, we might slow it up a bit. But no, I'm definitely thinking once a week. I mean, it might be weekends, but I'm hoping to do it sometime, maybe early afternoon on a weekday, or maybe morning on a weekday, to make it a little easier for not only our schedules but everybody else's schedule.
That's a good idea.
So we'll probably send out a couple flyers here and there to find out what works. We've
Very
tried it.
cool.
I've tried it a couple different times. I know early morning does not work because realtors don't get up.
Yeah.
Did we lose
Well,
you,
Keller
Jason?
Williams realtors do
Start
get up,
working until
Justin, right?
No, I'm here.
Okay, I just see no video from you.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, hopefully. I mean, are you? As long as we're in bold, hopefully, you got to be up and ready to go and make those phone calls.
You got it. You got it.
But yeah, we're definitely going to try to do this. Definitely once a week. We'll definitely let you guys know ahead of time what's going on as far as schedule time goes for. But I think it's going to be definitely more in the week and not on the weekend because if weekend for realtors, you should either be having your own family fun or selling something.
That's right. You're right. Well, definitely,
So.
yeah. I'll be looking out to join your blab, and I'll be doing something similar, but mine is going to be solely just talking about apps. If there's an app for something, I got it. Trust me.
Well, we could run a competition. You should see my phone.
And mine too. I've got
Anytime
mine
I
set up in
change phones, it
folders.
takes me about 3 hours before my phone's synced up with everything.
Same here, Justin. I don't have individual icons. I've got folders with about 20 icons in each folder on about 4 different screens.
Yeah, you might have me beat. That'd be a close
Wow.
count. You might have me beat.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, cool.
Yeah.
Can you guys
You're
see me
good.
now, or am I still not there?
I don't know what.
I never disappeared on my end, so that was kind of weird.
Just.
All right, cool. Well,
I was just going to say basically all
Go
I
ahead,
ever
Justin.
noticed is
What were you
when
gonna
you
say?
start getting low bandwidth, it'll do that. It's just kind of its bandwidth saving tool.
right.
So we're going to save.
All right, cool.
We're going to
So
save
I
Sean's
think we
mobile
touched
data
that,
on this and
right?
get out of here.
Yeah. No, thanks for jumping in, Sean. I'm glad we
Absolutely.
can
Me too.
hear you now.
Good deal.
Yeah. So hopefully you get your computer fixed and get all that kind of hashed out, and then I'll definitely
it.
check out
Cool.
your
I'm
blabs
working on
in the
it.
future.
Awesome. Can't wait.
All right, cool.
All right. See you guys.
Thanks, guys. Yep. Bye.
Hey, Mike. So Mike, you're back. Are you want to jump in, or what are your thoughts there, Mike? What's kind of new in Mike's world? Mike's always got new stuff going on. He's the one who actually he's the one who was telling me about the drones and stuff like that. We were talking about drones and technology with drones and GPS and all kinds of crazy stuff with the
I think there's
drones.
some
So it's
interesting
kinda cool.
drones are very cool. You just got to be careful with all those FAA regulations going on. There are some realtors breaking all sorts of laws right now.
And I think Mike did bust my cherry on the blab. He was probably my first guy in a blab, which was kind of cool. So I am forever indebted to Mike here. I'm always going to be.
Well,
in
we'll
love
have
with
to get
Mike.
you on next time, Mike. But I think I think we need to check out now because I actually hear food being prepared. So, sorry for keeping a little long, but yeah, next time come in, and actually next time don't even ask for permission. Just hit the button. We'll bring you in.
Yeah, jump in.
Right.
Anybody for that matter. Anybody. And listen, if you're because I'm going to put this on a podcast too, probably. So if you're listening to this on iTunes, check out Blab, the live feed on Blab. If you're not a part of that, you're missing out for sure. So please join the live Blab, blab.im, and look up Justin at JBLETHEBY. I got that right, Justin? Or myself, Jason Bates, JAYSON BATES, just like the motel. And hook up with us on Blab. We'd love to chat with you about real estate, anything and everything related to real estate, technology wise. And we hope to see
absolutely.
you. Out
Can't
here
wait
on
to see
Blab.
you guys next week.
Cool, man. Hey, lots of fun, Justin. So we'll talk later
Sounds
on
good,
the week,
Jason.
and then
Thanks,
we'll
man.
go from
Appreciate
there,
it.
all right?
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Mike.